The easiest time to tell beaver is active or inactive is this time of year. You could do it anywhere from the end of October till January, but then the later you wait, the more areas start to freeze up and it gets more difficult with the weather. So we usually do it in the beginning of November, because the easiest way to tell if something is active is if there's a food cache in front of the lodge. Then you just find the lodge, you see a food cache, you're done.
Okay, we've been having trouble finding food. We're not sure we're looking at a food cache.
Okay,
so.
yep. I can, hopefully I'll be able to show you guys.
I don't know. I mean, maybe all the lodges we're finding are inactive, who knows? But anyway.
Could be.
So no other methodology than that? You just go down?
I mean, that's the start of it. We have a data sheet that
I
can give you guys, and you can make copies of it. So what it looks like is we put each stream sort of map here, and usually on the back we'll have that whole map so that you don't get lost. And then we label each site. So I'll be walking this stream. I picked a bad one because this one doesn't have any.
2 kilometers or something assigned to each person?
Doesn't matter.
It depends. Yeah, some of them are longer, some of them are shorter.
Okay.
Some of them are just a little pond.
Okay.
I picked a bad one because this one doesn't really have anything. As you can see by the topo lines, it's sort of a hemlock ravine, so it's too steep for beaver. But so we'll mark each site. If there's beaver activity here, I'll put a number 1 right here, and I'll mark that. I'll take a GPS, and then it's just, is there a lodge? Yes. Is there a food cache? Are there fresh cuttings, meaning fresh chew on the trees? And there fresh mud on either the dam or on the lodge. So this time of year, it's pretty easy to tell fresh mud. You'll look at the lodge and it'll almost be shining back at you. And if it's old, you'll see a lot of sun-bleached sticks and no real fresh mud on it. And then any other comments or anything, if I come to an area that has an old beaver lodge or something, I'll still mark it. So I'll put a number 1 here, but I'll mark I for inactive.
Number 1 means lodge?
No, it's just the site number. So as I'm going down, I may have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and that's happened. I've had 3 within a quarter mile of each other in a pretty active area. So then I would have 1, 2, and 3 active, and then I list what I saw.
Okay.
So it's fairly simple in terms of methodology as you're walking.
Now you assume that each new lodge you encounter that is active is a new colony.
Yeah, because they wouldn't try to maintain 2 food caches. They wouldn't try to maintain. That's a lot for a beaver to handle. They may be related, but they're separate colonies.
No. Now you don't have scent mounds on there, do you?
Should we get out of the way?
All right, we should get out.
The main thing this time of year to look for is that food cache. Usually if you can find the lodge, and I've had a hard time finding the lodges sometimes. Sometimes they're buried in the cattails or phragmites or something like that. And they're difficult to see. But if it has a dam, you can look for fresh mud on the dam. If you're totally unsure of whether it's active or inactive, the best thing to do is to take like a hoe or a hook or something like that and break a little piece of the dam. Just, just a little funnel. Put a stick in there marking where you broke it. Go back the next day. If it's fixed, it's active.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
Real scientific. Right?
yes. A lot of science is common sense. Once you know things, then it gets much easier.
And to identify food caches, you just find the stick straight up out of the water.
Yep, it'll almost look like there's bushes in front of it. You'll just see little sticks sticking out. Sometimes it's, just this much sticking out. So it doesn't even have to be a lot. This time of year, as we get later, the food caches will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And there will be old food caches too. But you can look down into the water. If you're near the lodge, you can look down in the water. Most of the old food caches have sort of sunk, so they're not sticking out of the water. But if you come upon a lodge and you see the sticks in the water, the old sticks will be sun bleached. Sometimes they'll have fungus or algae or something on them. So there'll be no leaves whatsoever on them.
Are you in a boat when you're looking into the water, or are you out there with hip waders?
You can put on hip waders. I almost always wear these. Binoculars you should bring with you. Other questions?
Let's see.
Now, Nancy had a whole, you should see her list of...
He's answering them all without my showing them this. So once a year is enough. That's amazing. I mean, because
Well,
There have
this
been
time of the
times
year.
where we're not sure if something's active or not. We feel like we have to go back. And
If you're unsure any other time of the year, do that dam
Yeah.
thing that I told you about. Just break a little piece of the dam away. I'm not saying flood it,
no, I
and
know. Yeah.
but you can just take a little chunk out and they'll fix it if they're active.
Do you visit abandoned sites also? Or
Not on purpose, but throughout that survey, yes. Every site, every stream on there gets visited, so we'll know if it's active or inactive. Or if somebody says, I think there's beaver activity near this road last week, there was nothing here, this week it's flooded.
Do you measure the scent mounds?
No. Nope.
Do you smell them?
I
mean-
can smell them when
well,
I
I
walk
mean,
up to them, but no, I
It's
don't.
not important to you to notice that there might be two conflicting colonies?
No, we haven't measured the edges of colonies to see how big they are. We haven't done that, and I don't know if I'd be able to tell with my nose where one beaver is and where the other beaver isn't. I don't know that my nose is that sensitive to be able to tell the difference in the castor smells.
Yeah.
because the first
We have
area
trouble
we
just
take you
detecting
to, it had very few scent mounds.
Yep.
Hardly one or a couple. And another area has a lot of scent mounds, so.
Yeah, it could be a difference between another colony is pretty close that
Okay.
they're defending their territory from.
That's kind of what we figured, yeah. Any other questions?
Well, there are lots of them, but why don't we, the first site that we're going to take you to,
Shall we open this up? We talk about it, we can open it up.
has several lodges, which we have found by going in different directions.
Yep.
But what we have found is that they're very close together.
Okay.
And so we don't know for sure if
Let me
it's
give you that.
one colony, several colonies, or one old colony moved slightly to the left, or right,
Yeah.
or whatever.
That
And
definitely
so we're
happens. They'll
hoping
move.
that you can help us
Yeah.
figure that type of thing out.
Sure.
So we can, here, maybe someone can hold it so we can just.
Predict where they've been. You can look at old abandoned areas. Most beaver, once they find an area that works for them, there will constantly be beaver in there. We've had areas that beaver have been removed before and they just come right back in. It's not a long-term solution to remove the beaver. If the beaver likes an area, and it's easy to tell, you can almost do some of it on the map. If you look at a stream or brook and where it starts to flatten out a little bit so it's not steep and there's a little bit of play in there, that's where beaver activity is going to be, most likely. They like it where the stream starts to slow down and flattens out. Or if there's a culvert that narrows the stream that's easy to block. I mean,
What they like.
Yes.
they don't want to have to, they're great workers, but they don't want to have to work that hard to do it. Sometimes we've had success keeping them out of culverts by just erecting this sort of weird angled fence to exclude them from there, and they can't figure out the angles. If it's not perfectly parallel to go across, they have a hard time with it.
So that's not good, that's a sort of beaver deceiver.
Right.
Right,
Right,
not
we
one
call
of
it
the official
exclusions.
ones. What do you call it?
Exclusion fencing.
Exclusion fencing, okay.
Yep.
So you don't deal with, do you deal that much with beaver deceivers at all? Or?
Oh yeah, we put some piping through dams wherever we
Okay.
can. We try to do that because that's a better long-term solution. If the
Okay.
beaver can live there and stay there and still maintain the road or whatever else is there, or sometimes it's our neighbor's property, then we would much rather do that. It's a little bit more expensive to us, but it's a better long-term solution.
Who does that? Who actually installs the deceiver for us?
Me and the staff of my boss and another
And
technician.
how do you do it?
We build this big green cage out of concrete. What's it called? Yeah, it's kind of like rebar. It's a little thinner and easier to work with. And then you put one pipe in there with a cap on one side. You drop that into the pond side where the beaver activity is, and then you run a pipe through the dam with a connector in the dam, and then all the way out the other
Just
side.
plow it through the dam?
We remove most of the dam. We lower the water level to where we want it to be.
I see. Okay.
Then we put the pipe in, and we
Build up
actually
over it again.
put the
Got it.
stuff back in as best we can. They'll do
Sure.
most of the work.
Yeah, the fine tuning, right.
But